My name is Janie Allen. Today I'm going to talk to you about inclusive scouting. I've been a scouter over 10 years. I'm part of Troop 350, Assistant Scoutmaster, and then also the chaplain. And then Crew 350, I'm the crew advisor. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about inclusive scouting, BSA Diversity and Inclusion Statement, the BSA Workforce Groups in Action, new Diversity and Inclusion Merit Badge with questions, and then finding your strengths and bring the value to the program. So we might ask ourselves, what is inclusive scouting? So scouting is an inclusive, value-based movement and membership. The main focus here is the equal opportunities and policy outlines, what we do to ensure the movement is open and accessible and that people are treated equally and with respect. You can go out on the website of BSA and look at their diversity and inclusion statement, and it talks a lot about the diversity and inclusion and what they promote. If you read through there, the Boy Scouts of America promotes a culture where each youth, volunteer, and employee feels a sense of belonging and builds communities where every person feels respected and valued. Leading by example and encouraging each other to live by values expressed by the Scout Oath and Scout Law. We welcome families in all backgrounds to prepare our young people to serve successful members and leaders of our nation's increasingly diverse communities. BSA demonstrates this because they have 4 different workforce groups. They're basically looking at the LGBTQ employees and allies, and that's under the view. And you can also see the RISE. This is BSA Women's Workforce Resource Group. And then they have the LISTOS, which is a workforce resource group for the Latino professionals. And then they have APAC, which is the Asian Pacific Workforce Resource Group. So again, I think this is showing that BSA is making every type of commitment that they possibly can to look at diversity and inclusion. Here you'll see a picture of a Boy Scout, and basically he has the rainbow colored neckerchief on. This picture was actually taken in 2014. But again, it's demonstrating how BSA is trying to open their arms up and include all. Every type of background that can be from the scouts, from the leaders, and then also employees of BSA. Today, I'd like to take an opportunity to show you a brief video of a recent merit badge that has been launched, and it's a new diversity and inclusion merit badge. I'm going to start the video now. I'm hoping to. Oh, my computer does not want me to do that. So let's see what we can do here. Okay, we'll work on that in just a minute. Okay, so basically the video is talking about the evolution and how we've come around introducing that merit badge into place, and especially with issues that we've seen that have come to light in our communities. One recent article that was placed out in June 18th, 2020, it talks about, introducing the diversity and inclusion merit badge for the Scouts in the wake of the death of George Floyd. The organization says a merit badge will include existing components from the American cultures and citizenship and the community merit badges. The badges require Scouts to learn about and engage with other groups and cultures to increase understanding and spur positive action, according to a statement on the Boy Scouts of America website. The Diversity and Inclusion Merit Badge will be required for the rank of Eagle Scout. The organization will also be reviewing elements of its programs to ensure diversity and inclusion, and diversity and inclusion training is required for all Boy Scouts of America employees. So again, when you look at this video, it talks about the introduction of, hey, when will we see this new diversity and inclusion merit badge come about? Looks like it's going to be introduced around May 2021. I think right now, currently, they're working on the different elements of how to achieve, and then of course, how to roll it out, and then incorporate that with the overall Eagle Scout requirement. At the very end of the video, it talks about diversity, equity, and inclusion merit badge, but it asks 3 different questions. In what ways can we model diversity, equity, and inclusion for our youth? You know, the second question is, how can we address our own biases regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion? And then the third question, it asks, what specific challenges do we face in our council regarding DEI, and what are the potential ways to meet those challenges? So again, as we continue to open ourselves up and have many people come aboard a BSA and be truly equal, we're going to see a lot of different cultures that come back to us. And that's going to be very interesting, because if we do not provide a program that we can accept those things, we can send off the wrong message overall for BSA. And so that's something that we definitely want to be cognizant of. You know, when it talks about belonging, you know, as human beings, we desire to belong and to be accepted. And that's every human being. Studies show that a sense of belonging is a fundamental human need. If you don't have a sense of belonging at work, church, scouting, etc., it can impact things such as motivation, ability to problem solve and perform at a high level. We have all heard the saying that a person is checked out. This can occur when you don't feel like you are a valued part of the team. For Scouts and Scouters, we want to drive an inclusive program that all Scouts and Scouters feel welcome, valued, respected, and heard. We can do this by utilizing a Japanese term, which is practicing Mendomi, the spirit of caring for and assisting others with their learning and growth. The resources here was Psychological Today and then CNN, the importance of belonging. Here you can see our word cloud. When we think of ourselves as Scouters, and we go back to that badge that it says just 1 hour a week, we all know that that is completely wrong. We spend tireless hours working with all of our Scouts and trying to provide good programs for each and every one of them. You know, a few key words here when we think about adult leaders is irreverence, loyal, Scouter, being friends, you know, courteous, being a leader, being a mentor, a teacher, you know, patient, brave, and again, overall, tired. As Scout leaders, we will strive to be an inclusive organization where each Scout will be recognized, understood, and valued for their unique personal and cultural differences. We will use our diversity to add value to our program. We will create an environment of mutual trust, opportunity, and respect, which allows the creative contributions of each Scout to flourish, contributing to their individual success and camaraderie of their groups. We are the ones that can take those teachable moments and turn it into a positive environment for everyone. A couple of questions that I have for you so we can have an interactive session here. These are what-if questions. An adult leader overhears a Scout that is asking another Scout, "I thought you told me you were gay." And this is open to anybody. How would you react to that if you walked up on that conversation? And anybody can answer. Okay, another question. A Scout told you, "I am not prejudiced, I just don't like Black people." How would you answer that? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Third, Scout begins to explore transgender and wears fingernail polish to a meeting and grows hair out long. How do the Scouts react? On a winter campout, adult leader reviewing books with scouts, and a conversation is discussing bullies and how they do not like to be picked on. Later in the conversation, a scout makes a statement. It makes you want to kill yourself, with tears in his eyes. So again, these are 4 different questions. And I would say that I got it off of a website, but I didn't. These are 4 different conversations that either I stumbled on or I was actually right in the middle of all of it. So as we provide these type of programs and talk about inclusiveness, we've got to be ready for the questions that are going to come up. We've got to be able to be ready to redirect. So for example, the first one, it talks about adult leader overhears a scout that's asking another scout, I thought you told me you were gay. This happened 2 weeks ago at a camp out. We were all at Ondasonk and I happened to walk up on the conversation. So right there at that moment, you would redirect the scout and you would just say, hey guys, what are you cooking? Because that's what they were doing at the time. And then later on, you would pull the other one to the side that was asking the question and just say, hey, you know, everyone has their own choice. And if the conversation took place, you know, please respect that individual's choice. And that's all you do. You don't make a big scene. You don't do anything like that. You just answer the question and give them some type of direction after that. The second one, a scout told you, I'm not prejudiced, I just don't like Black people. That happened when I was teaching at Atari Day in a religious emblem class. So the response I had for that one was, keep in mind when Jesus was at the well, when the woman come up to him and they were talking. So again, looking at Jesus, he accepted that woman and was talking to her. And back then and back that day, you didn't do that. And also, another key thing is, when you look at Jesus being in the country he was in, it's not like Jesus was white, pale skinned. He would have had a darker tone to him if you think about it. The third one, scout begins to explore transgender and wears fingernail polish to meeting and grows hair out long. How do the scouts react? Now this particular one, I wasn't there, I just kept hearing it. And unfortunately, we end up losing the scout before I had a chance to even talk to him. Because I think the reaction from the scouts was not inclusive, because it threw everyone off. The unfortunate thing here is this particular scout had just lost his mom a year ago, and he was already struggling. But then now, you know, in his mind, he's trying to find out who he is. But yet, were we accepting of that? The last one, on a winter camp out, adult leader reviewing books with scouts, that was me. And we were up at Camp Arthur. And I was just looking at the books, going through the books and talking with a couple of the scouts. But then I heard one of the boys talk about how scared he was. It was his first camp out, overnight. He wanted his mom and dad. Then one of the other scouts started talking and saying, hey, I remember the first time I went to summer camp and I was really scared too. We're going to be here to help you through that. Not everybody would do that. And the next thing you know, they started talking about school. And the boy that ended up saying that, he has long hair and plays in the band, but you could tell that he's an introvert too. And so that's a tough one right there. What do you do when they talk about suicide? So when I talk about inclusiveness, there are many things that can be inclusive. So that's what you have to be ready for. But I think that's where BSA is standing up saying, hey, we are going to look at diversity and inclusion. Now, are they going to be perfect about it? No, none of us are. We all walk through that path every day. You know, you see your scouting trying to be diversity and inclusion, You see your workforce trying to be diversity and inclusion. You even see your churches trying to be diversity and inclusion. You know, we're going to fail at it. The important part of it is we got to continue to look at our own selves and think about what kind of program are we providing for these scouts. So you need to ask yourself, what strength do you bring in scouting, and how can you add to the value to the pack, the troop, and the crew? You know, there's a couple ways you can look at that. You know, you can go out online and you can do the Strengths Finders test, and you can find out what your top 5 strengths are. The strengths that you find out is something that you can capitalize on, and you can bring that to the program. That's the beauty of all of it. When you bring all the scouters together, each and every one of us bring different strengths. And when we put those strengths together, we can put together a dynamic program. But the important part of it is we have to plan that too. We have to make sure that all adult leaders know where each other is coming from. And we need to take opportunities when the scenarios, like I spoke of earlier, come up. How do you react to that? How do you deal with that? Because again, these kids, it's easy for us to do a check mark in the box and say, hey, I did this, I trained them on that. But it truly, as scouters, we have to have that relationship with them. We have to ensure that they feel comfortable coming to us. And when they do come to us and talk to us, what are we providing them as feedback? Another way to look at your own self is take the 16 personalities test. This is something that, you know, you input, you know, the questions, you answer them, you find out what your own personality is. When we can figure out what we're contributing and what we're doing and how we can be part of it, we have to know ourselves first. And once we know ourselves, we know what we can actually apply to that program, depending on whichever troop, pack, crew that we're working on. So as far as inclusiveness, to be able to close up the inclusiveness part, just keep in mind to have an open mind. And remember, there's a lot of people out there. And as you go out and you look at the BSA website, you're going to start to find many avenues where we can go. And then at any given time, you can always reach out to other packs, other troops, other crews, and just ask some of those questions. Hey, we ran across this. How do we handle this? You know, how do we provide, you know, good examples? You know, another example, when we were camping a couple of weeks ago, before we started our outdoors activity, we started talking about giving examples of, have you ever been in a classroom and you've seen that one kid that's sitting over by himself? What do you do? It goes back to that show that we watch ever so often on TV that says, what would you do if you were there? So again, practice, I don't want to say it makes it perfect, but at least gives us some type of knowledge that we can respond to some of this and be able to provide a good, diverse, inclusive program for all of our scouts, boys or girls. Okay, I'm going to open it up to any questions that you might have. Hi.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Adam. How
All
are
right,
you?
I apologize. I had to step away for a minute at the very beginning, but it was a great session. I appreciate it very much.
No problem at all. It's, you know, the more that we are involved in this, the more that we are seeing. And it's just been, you know, honestly, a truly opportunity to be able to work with the scouts. But, you know, a lot of it, Adam and group, these kids experience a lot more than what we ever did. And for them to trust us and to come up with some of those vulnerable questions in front of an adult, you know, we got to be ready and to give them some type of feedback, you know, something where, you know, they feel safe and they're being heard and they're not being shunned. And, you know, I talked a lot about, you know, maybe transgender and lesbian and gay, but then also what do you do when you have, you know, 48 scouts and you only have one African American in there? So, I mean, it's, you know, inclusiveness comes in all different shades. And, that's the important part. If you have somebody that, let's say that they're Japanese or they're Chinese or, whatever that culture is, if, one thing, that you could do is, maybe look at some of their holidays and bring that to the troop and say, hey, we'd like to celebrate, whatever it may be on that part of it. But if we do not bring some of that to light, it's going to be a tough message to sell that we're inclusive, but yet we never celebrate anyone else's culture.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I knew when we started planning the University of Scouting, 8-9 months ago, wherever the case was be, this was one of the first sessions that I knew that I wanted to be offered, and I knew that you were the one that I wanted to have teach it. So, yeah, with your knowledge and background and professionalism with it, this is a great session. So there's a lot that I think everybody can take from this.
Good.
Anybody have any last minute questions for Janie? No? Okay. Well, if everybody kind of wants to take a break for a little bit, get something to eat, get away from your computer for a little bit, we will come back to this in about 25 to 30 minutes. So we'll say about 12:25, 12:30. And David Wyrick will be our amazing guest speaker. So get away from your computers for a little bit, stretch your legs. I will still be here, so if anybody needs something, holler at me, and I see whatever I can do for you, I'll make it happen. So, all right, well, we'll see you guys in about 30 minutes. Thank you. Thanks, Janie.
Hey, you're welcome, Adam. Take care. All of you,
ma'am.
take care. I'll keep listening, though, but I got to do housework today.